I figured out sports betting and I hit over 85% of my bets last month, and I'm going to show you guys and prove it to you. In this video, I'm going to give you guys the 2 steps that I use to be able to create that incredible month. Now, sports betting gets a bad rap. Everybody considers it gambling, but in the new age of sports betting, it's not gambling anymore if you know what you're doing. It can actually be used as an investment. But the way you do that is not by guessing who's going to win the game. It's by taking calculated risks and using certain amounts of money on that calculated risk. And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So let's get into it. Now let's go ahead and jump into step 1 here. Step 1 is going to be finding true probability, TP. Now what that means is being able to identify what an implied probability is. Okay, that's what the number the sports book tells you the percentage of that actually winning. So for example, minus 200 has a 66% implied probability. Okay, and what we're trying to do here is we're trying to find a true probability of that event occurring over that number. Okay, so let's say 70%. That gives us a plus 4% edge. But how do we do that? We have to be able to find this type of number. So how we find this number is by looking at an event, a player prop. We have to focus here on player props. Okay, and we want to know exactly what it is, the true probability of the event occurring on that player prop. So for example, we're going to use Luka Doncic. Okay, we're going to say 25 plus points is what we need him to get. So how do we find out if we have a true probability on that? So how we find this out is exactly what I just showed you in step 1 right there. Okay, let's figure out his implied probability first. So let's say his implied probability, these are just hypothetical numbers. Okay, let's say his implied probability is minus 200. So we got a 66% implied probability there. But let's say we went and looked at his overall season data, okay? And his overall season data shows that he hits 80% of the time he goes above 25 plus points, okay? Now let's say that he's going against a team that allows one of the most in the league points against opposing point guards. So he has a great matchup here, okay? We're going to say he has a great matchup and his overall percentage is already great. Okay, we're going to say 80% overall. But now if we dive in deeper and let's look at the same teams in the same category that he's faced that are similar to the team he's going against on that night where we're looking at this bet. Now when you find that and you see that percentage, well, that percentage could be even crazier. So for example, with this percentage here, if he's going against a team that doesn't guard the point guard pretty well at all and gives up a ton of points, guess what happens here? His probability, true probability, jacks all the way up to almost 100% because of the teams that he went against. If you look at the box score stats and you follow those stats out, you would see that. So what you would do is you would take that 100% probability and then you would average that out with the 80% overall. So that would create what? A 90% true probability here. Okay? That would create us a 90% true probability. So what are the odds behind that? The odds are minus 200, but what should they actually be? Now the odds should actually be minus 900. So now I'm using an exaggerated example here, okay? Because you're never really going to find this big of a gap between the odds, but this is what an example of what it looks like, okay? So your odds here should be minus 900, but they're actually minus 200. Look at the crazy edge that you get here, okay? 66% implied probability the sportsbook says, but there's actually a 90% probability of that happening. That right there is a plus 24% edge, okay? And just like that, you've created a massive, massive edge for yourself. So what is this pretty much an example of? Let's say, for example, okay, you go into a store. All right, let's say you go into a store, you're looking to buy a TV, and you see a TV that the price for it, regular price, is $900. Okay, 900 bucks. That's the regular price for it. But it's on sale for 200 bucks. Okay, are you going to buy that TV? Yeah, you're going to buy that TV. Why? Because you bought a $200 product that's worth $900. We're doing the same thing with sports betting here. Is we're taking and getting a clearance item sale when we do this. Okay, because the line should be minus 900, but we're getting it at minus 200. So what are we doing there? We're getting crazy, crazy value. So yeah, of course, we're going to go ahead and we're going to buy that item. It's the same exact thing as if you're in the store and you're looking to buy a TV or any product and you get a crazy, crazy deal on it, you're going to buy it, right? That's what we're doing in sports betting. Now let's get to step 2 here. Step 2 is going to be unit sizing, okay? Now unit sizing, and you're going to take this and you're going to compare this to our probabilities that we created in step 1, okay? So unit sizing correlating with probabilities. Remember that. Now, where these are going to range are from 1 to 5% of your bankroll, okay? So 1 to 5%. Doesn't matter how much money you have to start out with, all right? You don't need millions of dollars. You don't need 100,000. You don't need 50. Doesn't matter, okay? 1 to 5% of what your bankroll is, that's going to be your unit size and the unit sizing. And what you're going to do here is now you're going to use this formula, okay? 70% true probability. This is going to be a true probability formula. 70% to 79%. We're going to use 1% for a unit. All right? 80% to 84%. We're going to use 2% as a unit. 85 to 93%. We're going to use 3% as a unit. And then finally, 93% and above, we're going to use 5% as our unit. So using this blueprint and this formula here, what you're going to do is you're going to be able to have the most wagered on the highest true probability plays and the least amount on the least probable ones. Okay, so where this does, come into play is if you're hitting over 93% at 5%, it recoups most of these that if you lose one play at 1%. All right, so adjusting unit size. This right here is the formula to building up your bankroll. Okay, this is for building up your bankroll. Now, in other videos of mine, I do say, yeah, you could use a flat unit size. Well, you could use a flat unit size when you have a good base, okay? When you have a base bankroll, let's say $200,000 as your bankroll, and you just want to pull profits from that every single month. Well then, yeah, you could stay at one unit size the whole time if you want. But if you want to consistently build it and add to it, this is the best way to do it, okay? By using your unit size, but correlating that with the true probability system. Because once you combine both, that's where you're gradually going to keep increasing your bankroll. Now with just those 2 steps that I taught you right there, you will literally be able to win so much that you won't even believe it and others won't even believe it. Now, you might not believe it even watching this video, but now I'm going to jump into my bet tracker and show you exactly what I did last month and prove to you exactly how this works. So let's go ahead and dive into the proof on how this actually works. Now, if you guys look right here, this is my dashboard. All right, so this was for the month of February. As you can see here, 86.5%. All right, 86.5%. 32 wins, 5 losses. Average odds, minus 336. Okay, most people run away from that. They would never bet something like that, right? Most people are scared to go ahead and bet anything above minus 110, minus 120. But as you can see here, the daily process of how this works. Look at the profit that I made. Over $11,000, okay? $11,000. Just based off those 2 key concepts that I just taught you, okay? That's all it really was. Now, as we go and look at unit gain here, this is adjusted because of the unit sizing being adjusted, okay? So if it's a $1,000 bankroll that you were working with and you stuck to that and just straight $1,000 units, well, you'd be up almost 10 units here, okay? But this takes the average of the unit size that I was using, calculates that to unit gain, all right? But 11.2% ROI, you can't complain about these type of stats. There's no way you can complain about it. There's no way you could say that it doesn't work. This is a whole month of being able to do this. People are like, you can't sustain 86%, 85%, 80% long term. Yes, you can, because I just proved it to you right there, okay? And I've been doing this, like I said, for years and years. Now let's take a look at the bet history here, and let's go by individual bets. So if we go ahead and scroll through here, look the amounts that we're winning. So we're wagering, right, way more than what we're getting back because of the odds, right? So what do we got here? $3,000 bet gives you $857 back. Another $3,000 bet gives you $700. But look at the small gains, right? The small gains, they add up. Now, look at these 2 days right here. where I lose back-to-back plays for $3,000, okay? So I lose $6,000 there. Yes, it might take, when that happens, it might take a whole week to get that back. But that's what it is. It is what it is. You ride that out and you continuously go. And look what happens. You start streaking again. You get on a huge streak. Like, look at these streaks right here. Yes, I lost one play for $1,000. But look, I recouped that in literally 2 or 3 plays right here. And look at how many I've won in a row that actually stack up to create that growth. This is what people don't understand about this type of betting. Because your little gains are going to add up over time. And yes, you are going to incur a loss, but it's expected because you are going to lose once in a while. That's just the way that happens. But overall, throughout the whole entire month as you're going, these little wins, they add up and the losses don't even matter. So this is why when you bet the way that I teach, taking heavy favorites, okay, and adjusting your unit size accordingly to the true probability of that event actually occurring, that's why long-term this works. And that's why people will never bet, your average sports bettor will never bet this way. And people say, oh, well, I don't have money like this. I can't bet 3,000. I can't bet 1,000. I can't bet 5,000. That doesn't matter. It does not matter the amount of money that you have to bet. Okay? If you were doing this with $30 and $10 and $50, well, it's still the same ROI regardless. So obviously the more money you have, the more money you're going to make. That's just basic math. That's just the way investing works. But this is investing in sports betting. This isn't gambling because we're expected to make this amount of money. Like I go into the month expecting to make a certain amount of money. I don't go into the month hoping that I win because that's what gambling is. Gambling is hoping that you win. Oh, I hope I win when I put money down. That's not what this is. This is expected growth. Okay, I'm expected to make this amount. I'm expected to hit 10 in a row, 15 in a row at one point. Like I'm expecting that. And I'm expecting the losses as well because I know they're going to come. So even when I have a disastrous day of back-to-back losses here of $3,000, it doesn't disrupt my mentality because I expected that to come. That's the cost of me doing business, okay? That's the cost of it. And as you can see, it doesn't matter when you occur those couple losses. Let's go ahead and filter that back again in February. It doesn't matter because look, overall, you're making money. There is nobody in the game that even comes close to even making money and it's tracked month to month. They just don't. Most of the people that you see on YouTube, that you see on Instagram, they don't even track their stuff. Let alone, they would never bet plays like this because they don't understand the concept behind it. But every single play that you see that I just showed you had an edge. We did not play any plays that didn't have an edge. They all had an edge. So essentially, what do? We just played plays that gave us the house edge. And what do? We just replicated that over and over. That edge that we had, we just kept replicating it. And that's what it creates. It creates an incredible month, just like what you see here. Now, this is normal. This isn't like out of the ordinary. This is normal right here, okay? Because based off your odds, that's what you have to, adjust accordingly, okay? Now, at a minus 336, now if we go over here to the probability calculator and we put in minus 336, implied probability is 77.06%. Let's go back to the dashboard here. Let's filter that one more time. Remember, 77% is your implied probability there. So the implied probability of the odds that I played were 77%, and I hit 86.5%. So I gave myself a 9% edge over the entire month. That is how you win at sports betting. Not gambling, not hoping that a team wins, hoping a team covers, hoping a player covers their player prop. No, it's expecting them to do that.